Hey, you won't believe what I did yesterday. I crossed the finish line of a marathon. That's right, 26.2 miles. Just a few months back, the idea seemed impossible. Those early training days, I'd be winded after just 5 minutes. But day in and day out, my sneakers saw pavement. I faced rain, scorching sun, even that embarrassing fall on Orange Street. Nothing stopped me. And during the race, with every step, every heartbeat, I felt the weight of those challenges. It pushed me to my absolute limit, but crossing that finish line, the feeling was indescribable. And the medal that I earned, it's not just a medal. It embodies transformation, perseverance, and my story from start to finish. Sounds a lot like a character arc, doesn't it? It makes me wonder, if I were a character in a story, what would this character arc look like? There would definitely be a training montage, lots of struggle, and then it would end with me crossing that finish line victoriously. Oh, speaking of character arcs, last week we dove deep into Jimmy Valentine's transformation. Remember his roller coaster of a journey? Well, it was all made possible by some key story elements like the setting and plot. Let's revisit some key moments from Jimmy's journey and find out who we'll meet in our next story. In this video, we'll explore the character arc of Jimmy Valentine, see how the elements of a story work together to create a character's transformation, get a glimpse of your assignments for this week, and preview your next short story, The Last Leaf. Jimmy's road to transformation had its fair share of obstacles. Do you remember the different parts of a character arc? Can you piece together his character arc with what you've learned so far? Initially, Jimmy is presented with life after incarceration. He has to decide what to do next. This is a challenge. And what does he decide? Well, he plans to start doing exactly what got him into prison in the first place, safecracking. He takes a train to Elmore to resume his life of crime, but a wrench is thrown into his plan. What was it? Jimmy meets Annabelle Adams and immediately falls for her. Suddenly, Jimmy isn't sure what he's going to do. This leads us to the next part of a character arc. Do you remember what it is? In meeting Annabelle, Jimmy decides to go by the alias of Ralph D. Spencer to hide his true identity. Then he opens a shoe store. This is where his character starts to experience change and self-discovery. He becomes a better man. In this self-discovery, Jimmy realizes that he loves Annabelle and he loves leading an honest life. He even tries to sell his safecracking tools, but it's a good thing he doesn't. Do you remember why? He has to use them to save a child stuck in a safe. He has transformed from a criminal looking for an opportunity to a fiancé, a business owner, and a hero. The transformation completes his character arc and his story ends. Wow, what a whirlwind! These short stories pack a lot of drama in such a small space. In fact, each element of fiction supports character transformation. Every story has a setting, a plot, and characters. How might these elements facilitate a character's arc? Let's see. The setting of a story is the time and location in which it takes place. For example, the setting of A Retrieved Reformation is Elmore, Arkansas around the 1890s. The setting supports Jimmy's character development. Can you think of how? In the town of Elmore, no one knew Jimmy. He was able to reinvent himself. And this is the town where he met Annabelle and her family. The setting is also interrelated to the plot. For example, think about the setting of the bank with the large safe. This provides a jumping off point for the plot. Do you remember what plot is? Plot refers to the action of the story. How events are ordered is what creates the narrative arc. Character arcs are closely tied to the plot and how it's structured. The plot of A Retrieved Reformation is centered around Jimmy's character arc. Each plot event drives his story of transformation. Much of the plot is influenced by the setting and another element of fiction. Can you think of what it might be? Character arcs are driven by other characters. Think about all you've learned about characters so far. You already know about primary, secondary, and tertiary characters, protagonists and antagonists, and now character arcs. Each character plays a role in driving the plot forward. Annabelle is a great example from Jimmy Valentine's story. She's one of the reasons that the plot moves forward and Jimmy's character is transformed. She is part of his motivation to change and become a better man. The narrative elements are intricately connected throughout this short story, and they all combine together to weave a story of transformation and redemption. With all of this in mind, you are perfectly primed for your next literary journey. Nice job today! This week, you'll be reading The Last Leaf and examining the different character arcs and story elements within it. Keep a close eye out for illusion, personification, and, O. Henry's favorite, irony. You'll end this week by writing your very own personal essay, keeping these different elements in mind. Before you really get started, let's check out what to keep in mind while reading The Last Leaf. When you reach the end of this week's story, I want you to reflect on a few questions. Think about the title, The Last Leaf. Beyond the literal meaning, how might it be symbolic of the various characters' experiences and struggles in the story? How do the surroundings and weather in the story mirror the emotions and conditions of the characters? Finally, how do the setting and plot points act as catalysts for the character's transformation? Pay especially close attention to the character arc of Johnsy and the different story elements that we've reviewed today. You're going to have a great week. This all has me thinking back to my marathon. It's not so different from Jimmy's story or any character we encounter in these tales. Just like each of us, they face challenges, grow, change, and ultimately cross their own finish line. But remember, the story doesn't end when the book closes. It continues in our own lives, in our own personal marathons. Whether you're in the middle of your race, just starting, or approaching that finish line, always remember, your character arc is one for the books. Until next time, happy reading, and remember to always be clever.
Hey, hey.